3, 2. What's all right? Yeah, my script. Welcome back to Command West, a Commanders podcast where we tackle the latest Washington football team news and answer the hard-hitting questions like, why did the Commander cross the goal line?
I got an answer to that. He didn't, because there were too many freaking false start penalties.
Yeah, but there was also another problem.
What's that?
There was a guy who made 7 kicks in a row instead.
That wasn't a problem. We'll take that.
We'll cover all of that. And
we'll
more
cover all of that
tonight.
Kinda.
I'm your host, Bradley Roach.
I'm Tico Wells.
I'm Eddie P, and I'm salty.
I'm Donnie Roach, and I'm somebody's father on this panel. See if you can figure it out.
Okay,
I don't know.
man, I think that was one of our. Okay. Wow, we're gonna,
A father from another mother? What do you mean?
that's what we got tonight. We're starting off strong tonight.
Starting off strong, man. Let's
It's
hit it.
like they put a disclaimer in. We are not professional actors.
Yeah, no,
I don't think we need that disclaimer. That is abundantly obvious.
Hey, we got a game to talk about.
Yeah,
got a
we do.
game that we got the
With a
win.
dub.
Big W.
We got
We
the
got a big win.
First win of the season against the New York Giants, and we got some stuff to talk about.
We sure do.
Eddie, what do you think? 7 kicks to win a game, first of all time for the Commanders. What do you got for me?
You know what? I kind of got really excited for that kid. Here's a guy who just almost broke a record, or he tied a record, right?
He did break a record.
So he broke a record.
Commanders.
I still don't even remember his name.
Siebert.
Yeah.
Austin
What's so
Siebert.
cool about it is like if you come into an organization to fill a void and then you happen to just kick 7 in a row. Granted, there were a lot of them were chip shots, but the pressure, first kicks in a big game to win the game from a distance. The last one was from a distance, right? It was 48 yards or something?
That wasn't the last one. There was one that was like 45 or something.
47, yeah.
47.
45, that was a long one.
Mixed in with that. I mean, what a great accomplishment.
27.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if it's the most commanding way to win a game, because like it just showed that we were weak in the red zone, and we'll get to that, I know.
Yeah.
But why not play up the guy who basically saved our asses? Because without his kicks, we don't even compete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is our 5th kicker that we've had this year, and he got here Monday.
He was brought into the game on
That's
Monday.
incredible. You know.
I bet some of his teammates didn't know his name either, Eddie. So
what's the kicker's
everyone
name?
should know his name now.
Still don't even
Austin
know.
Siebert.
Have we brought
Austin
it up?
Siebert. We got 2 Austins. We got 2
We
Austins.
do. We do have
Austin
2.
Eckler.
Who had himself a fun game.
Isn't
Had a
aren't
great
those
game.
The 2 guys, though?
Didn't he have a nice kick return and got called
Yeah.
back?
Oh,
I wanted to. That's where I wanted to start. First play of the game. Let's start at the beginning.
Man.
Austin Eckler showed that he's here to play. I called back or not. That was a hell of a run back.
yeah.
And
What a
that
shame.
freaking penalty had no impact on the play. So it's unfortunate, but good for Austin Eckler. I was glad to see him bringing it.
You want to know what
man.
my favorite play from Austin Eckler was this game? Is he has a run down the sideline, a beautiful, maybe it was a screen.
I think it was a screen. Yeah.
Sideline for like 20 yards. Like it was beautiful. And he goes to hurdle a guy.
Oh yeah.
And the guy like calls his bluff. And usually when that happens, the guy who's trying to hurdle
Gets hurt.
gets flipped around, and gets hurt. And Austin Eckler just body slams the guy, and he gets hurt. He's
Come
on
straight
the ground.
down.
He's in the air. I'm like, how do you hit stick somebody when you're straight up in the air? Like it was like, I didn't even get the physics of that. But Austin Eckler's such like a tight dude. Pause.
Yeah.
He's so compact, just a little body of muscle. Again, pause. Just slamming into dude. Right.
These guys are a little too old for that.
Yeah,
They
wait,
have no idea
wait.
what you're doing.
I think you're right. You're right in there with us, just because you know
No,
what he's
no, I'm
talking
not.
about and
I'm
I don't.
I'm totally in the groove, man. I know exactly what he's talking about.
We've been
I hang
over
out with the younger crowd.
it.
I know the hip hop crowd. I know what pause means.
We went over that last season.
We did.
It's like, yeah, we did. It's like
It may
no
come up
Diddy.
every season.
Yeah, unfortunately, no
Uh,
But
Diddy.
it is
There-
fun. I actually watched a clip, like a compilation of announcers saying
Oh.
football terms that are just like out of context. You're like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That. Mhm.
hmm.
I want to say one other thing about the first play of the game, because that play
Yeah.
was hugely significant in a couple of ways. I mean, obviously, again, props to Austin Eckler, but another very big thing happened in that play, and it
Oh, yeah.
probably won us the game, is Graham Gano got hurt. So the Giants kicker got hurt.
Yeah.
And that was very well likely the deciding point of the game. They had no field goal kicker. They when you see a score of 21-18 and somebody says one team scored 3 touchdowns and the other kicked a bunch of field goals, you don't think it's flip-flopped, right? You think the team that scored 21 is the 3 touchdowns. They got 3 touchdowns, no extra points. They wind up having to go for it on 4th down, at the end of the game. And
Malik Neighbors
Which
drops.
brings me to a
the
quick
ball.
interlude question. Does somebody think that like it's important to have a secondary guy who can make a kick? I mean, they brought in the punter. The guy couldn't even get one. But
couldn't get the
but
extra
a line
point.
drive. I felt really
Yeah.
sorry for the guys. Like, why am I being asked to do this? Like, there's got to be another guy.
I think there just aren't enough spots on the team. What position do you give up to have a second string kicker?
Well, I don't say you have a dedicated guy. You just find out what running back and what punter or what other guy knows how to kick something. It could be a lineman.
Right.
That I'd
Yeah,
like to
I-
see.
yeah.
Somebody's, that I'd like to see, but
I think
but I
I think
digress.
for a team like the Giants, who's and we barely beat them. So I just want to
Yeah.
preface by saying
That's
that
the
we
other thing.
barely beat the one of and I'm about what I'm about to say is the Giants are not very good. So
Well,
They stink.
I knew
they-
Tico
you
was
know,
going to
these
challenge me
teams-
on that one.
these teams are balanced.
Yeah. But
Right.
so
They're about the same to me.
yes, for a
Minus the kicker.
Giants
He's
Giants
defending
team
how
who-
bad Washington is as well.
right. For a Giants team who it probably relies on their kicker, and Graham Gano has been in the league for a while, and he's
Yeah.
consistent. And a team like Washington, a team like the Giants, we need our field goals. We saw it this
Mhm.
week. We need field goals to win games, and without a kicker, it creates a lot of complications. And I'll start off with a complaint. I'm bummed that we didn't take advantage of it more. And we did in the moment that it most counted on 4th down when the Giants would have kicked a field goal if they had a
Mhm.
field goal kicker. They dropped a pass, and we can say that we took advantage of that. We did. The ball bounced our way. But they scored three touchdowns. I mean, we should have held them better. We
Yeah.
should have been able to put them in more 4th and longs, put them in them having to make decisions. Do we punt?
Right.
This is a bad punt. Do we try to trot out our punter to kick a field goal? Do we have to go for it on 4th and 7? We didn't do that much.
Yeah,
I think they
we're-
converted 1, maybe 2 4th downs and then missed 1.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's frustrating.
yeah, it speaks to the defense.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the second week in a row that you felt like the defense wasn't stepping up. And, first week you're like, okay, they're new. They got to, I still feel like there's a lot. They
Yes.
still have some gelling to do. It's a new team. I mean, it's new players playing with each other. But you did have this sense like, we got a defensive head coach. He's bringing in his guy from Dallas to be the defensive coordinator. Like the defense is going to be hot with this team, and maybe they still will, but they haven't been. They haven't shown it to us yet.
I think
It is
there's
frustrating.
obviously some serious, areas in the back secondary and the linebacker positions that are still learning how to play with each other. I think you're making a
Mhm.
great point there, Donnie.
I thought you were
But
talking about my dad for a minute. Okay, it was like his
I was
dad.
like,
Okay.
Grandpa?
Dad.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like these guys, he's like a new family, new coaching, you're living in
Yeah.
a new house.
Yeah, it's a lot
I mean,
of
we're not
new
going to get
parts.
there. We're not going to know maybe even this year. We're going to know maybe 6, 7 games in who we really are as a
Yeah.
team with what we have.
I agree.
And there's a lot of positions that we can acquire. Like, isn't there some, what is it when they draft? Isn't there some drafts of some guys right now that we can get? Not
You
draft,
mean
but
like trade? You mean like
trades. Yeah,
trades or
some
something?
trades.
Free agency? Not a lot of strong, deep backs out there
Right.
at this time of year.
I mean, on the waiver wire, there's not a lot. I would be surprised if Chef P, Adam Peters, isn't
Mm.
cooking something up. Especially,
Chef
I think a lot of people, are, I think a lot of people are expecting something a little bit later. Maybe I think
Mm.
like you said, Eddie, it's 2 games in, maybe around 6 or 7 games. I think the trade deadline is week 8. I want to say.
That's the term I was thinking of. What's the
Yeah.
trade deadline? Because I
Trade
knew that was a
yeah.
thing. I don't follow the
So after week
much as you
8, you
guys do.
cannot have any more trades for the rest of the season. But before week 8, you can trade quarterbacks.
But what happened? What happened? They can pick up a free agent though, right?
Yeah,
They're
At the
on the
end of the
absolutely.
season, but not trade.
They could pick up a free agent right now.
Anytime they can
Yeah,
do it right
anytime.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's what I
You
was
know,
leaning
one of the
toward.
most disappointing parts for me so far is somehow they haven't gotten Terry involved
Yep.
to
That
the
is
level
disappointing.
that I mean, maybe it's the coverage, maybe it's they're just keying on him so tough.
You could
But
you could tell they it was definitely a part of the game plan. They were trying to get him involved more. They were starting with, but they were doing things like wide receiver screens and these wideouts. They tried it so many times it wasn't working.
yeah,
And so even the passes that Terry caught didn't go for many yards. Um, and
They
so
started him with
it's
that
like on the
screen,
one hand, it's
remember?
like,
yeah.
okay, good, get the ball in Terry's hands. You want to do that, and they did that a few times, but there wasn't. I don't think he caught. No, he did catch one downfield pass, I think, where he made a great touch to stay in bounds.
yeah, that was
And that was
gorgeous.
Somebody
a nice little-
online made a really good point, and I forget who it was. I was listening to it yesterday, and he was saying that the reason McLaurin was not getting as many pass attempts was that they didn't start him off the way they should have. They started him off with the right type of thing, like a little screen to see if he could pick up some running room, because
Yeah.
that's where he gets dangerous. He doesn't have like blazing speed, but he's seriously fast once he's got the ball in his hand. He can
Yeah.
accelerate and he can avoid being tackled. They should have went to that screen and a couple of more times with him to show, okay, they're going to keep going to McLaurin, and instead they just pulled back on him and they went to the tight end, and they went to a couple of dropbacks to Austin Eckler. And I like the way they're spreading it around, but I just feel like it never got the momentum that it should have with Terry. And Terry likes to run like for the bomb. I
Right.
still think we never did like a first down attempt that, like, some people
just letting it cut.
Let it go.
Just
Yeah.
cutting it
do
loose.
it. Who we used to do it with all the time? The great speedster that we had as a receiver. He's on the podcast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I know, Geriatric Jeopardy. Here we go.
God dang it.
Santana Moss.
Santana Moss. That's the one.
Santana had
exactly.
enough speed that if you made him run 3 times, he's exhausted.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
get him on the first down, he's going to beat somebody, and you just throw it to him, he's going to get to it. I think that's what I want to see that with Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not
well,
on first down, but
I would much rather have seen. I got to disagree with you. I didn't want to see any more wide receiver screens going out to Terry or anybody. They just weren't working. It was driving me crazy.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, because I think that we had. I can think of one that was really bad and a couple that didn't go great, but there was one to Diami Brown that went for 14 yards. There was one to Alameda Zacchaeus that went for 7 yards.
Oh yeah,
there was
the
one to there was a couple that worked. And
Noah Brown had a 34-yard one.
That was downfield.
That was
the longest
downfield.
one. That was long.
Yeah.
So and
Are you talking about the screen specifically?
Yeah, he's talking about the screens
But
that
I'm
went
really
long.
glad you bring that
worked.
up, Tico, because I think what's happening is right now Cliff Kingsbury, he's in his bag a little bit, and he's starting to really. I think Jaden and Cliff are starting to gel, and it's really exciting to watch because you know, you see in these two games they start off very conservative, and they've been very conservative. And Eddie, to your point, I think Jaden is kind of hitting his safety blankets. Zach Ertz, big safety blanket. Austin Eckler, huge safety blanket right now. But in this game, I think they started to open it up a little bit, especially in the second half. You see the deep shot to Noah Brown. You see a couple to Zach Ertz. You see the out to Terry. You know, he's starting to kind of open the field a little bit more. I think, again, they're still going to stay a bit conservative. You're going to see a lot of screens. You're going to see a lot of, you know, just turnarounds, some slants. But I'm really excited to see the kind of the maturation of the two, Cliff and Jaden, as they both get comfortable. Jaden in the system and in the NFL, and Cliff with feeling comfortable about Jaden's abilities.
And Jaden, say what you told me yesterday or the day before, Bradley, about Jaden got his bell rung, right? He got the wind knocked out of him, had to step out for a play, right? Because Jaden's also started to look like he was getting more comfortable in the pocket. And go ahead, Bradley. You had a theory.
I said that maybe that was kind of a nice wake up call.
Like a bit of a,
you know, a lot of players talk about their welcome to the NFL moment.
That's the first thing I thought of too, Bradley.
Where I remember Ed Reed was famous for that. Just like when Ed Reed came down from his safety spot and hid somebody, or even Ray Lewis, those Ravens.
Sure.
People were like, okay, I'm in the
NFL
is real now.
This is real.
That hurt more than I've ever felt in my life, you know? So I think Jaden got hit a little bit in the ribs.
Yeah.
You saw him pumping water in his mouth, spitting it. No blood. Got his wind knocked out of him.
Yeah.
But Bradley, to your point, though,
in the pocket a little bit more.
To your point, though, you know, it's kind of like the analogy about the offense and the way they're handling it now. It's kind of like in a boxing ring. The first couple of rounds, you're just throwing out jabs to figure out, feeling out your distance, trying to figure out what the team's going to do to you, what they're doing on defense. You're trying to defend those shots, and then you take a couple of left hooks. You throw in a right cross. You know, like. Those are the things that we're going to find out as the season goes on. And with each game, the development of the offense is going to come to a fruition of some kind of a style. Right now, we don't have any style. We're just like throwing out ideas. And thank God we got a quarterback who's got legs.
Yeah.
But whenever it goes sour, he seems like he has pocket awareness to know that he's not going to run right into a sack. You know, he seems to get out of it and elude a lot of problems. So I like that. I just get nervous about him as usual, like anybody would. But I like what you were saying, though, because that's kind of what it is. It's like, don't throw out all your best punches.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's a fair analogy. And
that's a great analogy. Yeah.
And look, you know, it was a frustrating game to watch, and to have all those drives down in the red zone come up short. Very frustrating. On the other hand, we possessed the ball 7 times, and we had 7 drives, you know, that all ended up in field goals. We didn't punt the ball all day long. Our favorite player, Tress Way, except for holding the ball for Austin Siebert, never had to step on the field, you know. So there's a lot to be said for that. You know, that's an offense that was generating drives, and then stupid penalties cost us the touchdowns. It felt like to me cost us at least 2 or 3
time-consuming drives. Though we ate up
time-consuming. Yeah, good point.
Keeping the other pro athletes on the other side off the field.
And let's talk about a couple stats. So
sure,
Jaden Daniels, he threw for 226, ended up with 210. You know, I never could figure out how a sack takes away from your passing yards.
Whoever made up that, and you didn't get a chance to do it. So you're being penalized for being held with the ball. Get rid of the ball.
That's a weird stat. I mean, that's a weird stat. Because they sacked him 5 times for only 16 yards. That's not bad.
Yeah, some of those were short sacks.
And I know he ran out of bounds on one play that was behind him. That counts as a sack. You know, I do think he needs to throw the ball away. You know, a lot of those, he's like, oh my God, he got out of the pressure. Throw the
Right.
ball. Hey, dude.
So do
You
I,
know,
yeah.
go
Yeah, there was a
2
couple.
yards
There's one
back.
he just ate it. He was rolling out to his right, and instead of just throwing it out of bounds, you're
Yeah.
out of the pocket, dude. You're out of the. You
Yeah.
know, it's not going to be a grounding
gonna be a
call.
grounding
He'll
call.
learn.
Yeah.
He'll learn.
But so okay, so we got 210 for passing. We got 215 rushing yards
Yeah.
as a team. You know,
Yeah.
usually the mark is always 100 yards, right? We
Well, it used
doubled
to
that. So
be.
we had a
Well,
great Brian
and-
Robinson had
and
103 yards on
there you
17
go.
carries.
Yeah.
103? I thought it was
133.
133,
133, yeah.
And that's the best of his career.
Yeah.
So Brian
Yeah.
Robinson had a career day.
He did.
Really
Wow.
happy for him. Really happy
Thrilled
for
about
him.
that. Yeah.
And Jaden didn't have to do 100 yards himself.
Yes.
He still gave us 44. That's
Significant.
you know,
Big
anywhere around 50, 40, I'm good with him. Coming
So,
out not injured,
Yeah.
coming out healthy.
yeah,
A little.
exactly. And he hasn't turned the ball
Hello.
over
And he has not.
in 2
hasn't
weeks.
turned the
So
ball.
I got something for you, stat man.
Okay.
Stat man Wells. Through 2 weeks, and I can give you all the stats, but I'll just give you the quarterback rating of the 4 quarterbacks in the NFC East. Of course, Daniel Jones rating 66.6. Don't expect much from Daniel
That's
Jones.
rough.
Dak rating of 81.4. Jalen Hurts a rating of 84.5. Jaden Daniels a rating of 97.2. He's got 410 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. He hasn't thrown for a touchdown yet. 0 interceptions, and 132 yards rushing over 2 weeks. So, and of all the rookie quarterbacks, I think he's the only one who hasn't thrown an interception yet or turned the ball over yet. So, he's stepping up. He's looking.
Yeah.
He's doing what he needs to do at this point in the game. And you know, and as you say, Eddie, I like the boxing analogy. They might not be a whole lot of downfield strikes yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Let me
Well,
do
he
my
hasn't
little.
had an interception yet. It's
Yeah.
like a scratch on the brand new car. When I get
Yeah, right.
a brand new car, I always go under the car and I scratch it. So that I feel that it's already done and no one can see it. Because you're gonna go crazy when you get that first interception. So it'll be okay. It's gonna happen. So.
Yeah,
Let
it'll happen.
let me do my little rant here. I'm
Okay.
really glad you brought up the seven drives for
Yeah.
4 points, because I think that shows that we're moving the ball. I also want to remind everybody. I think we were talking about Sam Howell had a pretty good passer rating through 2 games. So I just want to level everybody's expectations.
Oh,
Bring
man,
everybody
way to
back
burst
down.
the bubble.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna burst a little bubbles, because here's I'm not gonna lie. This game was really hard to watch for me. It was really frustrating because it felt like, and I've said it before, Tampa Bay, I think, is a really good team, and I think they're going to be a playoff team, and I think they'll probably win a game, maybe even 2. Baker Mayfield is going to be a top 10 quarterback this season. So I felt like I gave the Commanders a little grace. The Giants, damn, we should have killed these bitches. I mean, like, we couldn't hang with us. And
At home.
I really feel like I was really frustrated, and here's why. Everything we've said so far, we're a new team, we're a new organization. There's going to be growing pains. We're getting used to each other. Here's my frustration. A lot of the things I saw in this game were very reminiscent of the last coaching staff. The damn penalties. I know it's coachable, but we had this problem last year and it was never coached out. And that's what was frustrating for me, is like, what the hell are we doing? Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen haven't had a sack. We were complaining all year last year about the pass rush, and we're like, oh man, okay, with the new coaching staff, I said it, with the new coaching staff, we're going to get creative in the defensive pass rush game. There's shit like that. The corners, and I will say, Benjamin St-Juste had a punch out. I've never seen him even go for a punch out before. He had an excellent game.
St-Juste had a good game overall.
He had a great game. But there's stuff that I was frustrated with last year that I said, dang, with better coaching, with a better coaching staff, we'll get this growing, we'll get these disgusting, gross things out of our system. And that's what was so frustrating me about this game was, damn, I thought we were done with this. I thought we were done with these dumb, stupid errors that kill us every year. And it's the same old shit. And I know it's not the same old shit, and I got to give it time, but that's why this game was so hard to
Feels
watch.
like it.
And we
I heard
walked
it,
away with a win, and it felt like we shouldn't have won that game.
You know, Bradley, I heard a clip today. One of the announcers was saying that, these guys are going through a lot mentally. And the one thing that they brought up, it was in regards to what were you just bringing up before about
Sam Howell, was it passing yards? Was
It's
it
the penalties. The
the
penalties.
penalties? Yeah, yeah.
Penalties.
So these guys, all right, if you notice, offensive lineman or an offensive tackle moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason they said that it was happening is they're trying to do a play call change once they saw the defense. So Jaden's calling an audible.
Yeah.
He calls the audible, which also can tend to affect the play count. So they said the trigger was that nobody understood after the fact that they're going to do a play change audible, that there's going to be another change, and they kept missing it over and over. That's high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
Though.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that, Eddie.
I didn't know that either.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up.
Good trivia, Eddie. Good
yeah.
trivia.
Okay. I think we should move on, but does anybody else have anything else you want to say about this game?
Well, going
Yeah,
on the defense, we have not heard Jonathan Allen or Deron Payne's name being called.
Yeah.
The only one has a sack is Pharrell. He's
He
got
has
2
2.
sacks
Yeah.
for 12 yards. But
Well, think about
Bobby
it.
Wagner, I tell you who's consistent. Bobby Wagner has 19 tackles. He leads us in tackles.
Yeah.
Wherever Bobby Wagner goes, man, he's just
Yeah.
been solid.
Yeah.
He's solid. And
I think in this game in
he's really
particular,
solid.
the reason why we didn't get the sacks with our big time sackers is because, number one, they had us beat on the run game. So if you commit to a blitz, you've already missed the play. So they had to stay a little back, and they had to kind of protect the middle. While how do you sack if you're not blitzing?
Here's before we move on here, I want to say something about that because Tico and I brought it up too. I watched the tape. Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne are doubled on almost every play. So I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, good point.
The teams know that those
they know who's who.
They know. They know who to go for.
Okay, but if you're committing 4 guys on 2, somebody should be able to get in there.
And that's an indictment of our pass rusher of our edge rushers.
Yeah,
they're not strong either. So
yeah,
and the impact of a D tackle is not just about sacks, right? It's about the run game, and it's about creating pressure. And we haven't seen the run game. I'm been frustrated with the run game. We haven't seen the sacks. Been frustrated with the sacks. What I will say is Deron Payne especially has been getting consistent pressure and creating those mismatches for the rest of the team, right? Like him getting doubled or tripled or, pushing dudes back or, give the availability for other players, but we haven't seen the production, and that's what's frustrating. So,
well, let's see if the coaches can do something with that.
Frankie Louvu had 11 tackles in that game.
Yeah,
and Bobby Wagner had 9. He was flying all around.
He's like a man with his hair on fire.
Yeah. I liked what I've seen from him so far.
Yeah, agreed.
And St. Juice, I felt a maturity come. I felt like he's now one of the guys. Like, we lost a couple people, and he stepped up. He's no longer a rookie. He's not a rookie anymore.
No, I think he could be. If he was on another team with another number 1 corner, he'd be one of the best second corners in the league.
Right.
He's not a number 1 guy. He's a number 2.
But he's our number 1 guy.
I know.
He's our number 1
right?
guy
Yeah.
now, seems
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too hung up on this game. We want to move on because we got a game on Monday night.
We do.
Time. But there is one thing that we want to talk about real briefly before we get to that, Dad. We
used to do commanding our attention. What's commanding my attention? I'll tell you what's commanding my attention. Philly lost this weekend. Dallas lost this weekend, and the
Badly.
Commanders won. Anytime the Commanders win and
And the
Philly and Dallas
Giants.
loses, and the Giants lost, so we're the only team that won in the NFC East, which puts
Right.
us in the number
number
one
one
slot
spot.
in the NFC East
Woohoo!
because we have a division win. So we're actually
Right.
ahead of Philadelphia and Dallas, who are also
That's
1-1.
right. That's
So
right.
let's celebrate being number one. Might be the only time it happens this year, but we are number one for now. We're going to take it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Um,
right.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But we are going on the road.
And we had a fumble
Yeah.
recovery.
And we
Yeah,
had
we
a
did.
fumble. We had a
Hey,
forced fumble and
First
recovery.
turnover.
Jeremy
Yeah,
Chin.
that's right.
Yeah, recovered. Okay. Monday night. We're going on
Monday
the road
night against Cincinnati.
to Cincinnati, who is 0-2.
I was so wanting Cincinnati to beat the Chiefs because I just thought facing Cincinnati at 0-2, that's not the team you want to face at 0-2. They're going
Let's
to be
kick them while they're down. Let's kick them while they're
Two
down.
words for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Hungry.
Let's
Let's
get
kick
them
them while they're down.
like a hungry like a old note tiger.
Let's kick them while they're down.
I like that, Eddie. We're getting them before they hit their stride. Okay?
Right, yeah.
You know, they're starting slow. Let's get it. We're getting them while they're slow.
Yeah.
Now we're playing them in Cincinnati, right?
We are.
All right.
So-
is there something that we need to key on over there? Or keep Burrows in check? I mean,
Yeah, let's talk about it. What the offense I think of Cincinnati is where they really shine. They got some really good playmakers over there.
no, ocho cinco, no.
Yeah, but they do have
Jamar Chase is
Jamar Chase. So some LSU boys over there in Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And it will be Jaden Daniels versus Joe Burrow.
LSU versus LSU.
That'll be a storyline. I'll say that.
Sure. Sure.
Did they keep the 85?
T. Higgins?
Cincinnati? Yeah.
I believe. Yes, they do. He's been hurt the first.
He hasn't been
games.
playing. Yeah, but
So I
think the word I heard is that there's a strong chance he'll come back. I don't think it's confirmed yet, but
our luck
Tyler,
is he'll
Tyler
probably
Boyd.
play
Is
versus
he
us.
still with them? Is
No.
Tyler Boyd
Tyler
still with
Boyd,
them? He got traded, right?
Yeah. And so did Joe Mixon, who is having
he's killing it.
Great
he was
with the Houston Texans. But they have Zach Moss and I forget their other running back who are both having decent years. I think they have a decent running game. It's not I just said it. It's not Joe Mixon. So
well, we know it's not Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon has been quietly killing for the last 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
How do we slow down a potentially good running game? Because Giants don't have the greatest running game without Saquon, and we still got blown out. How do we do that?
Well, actually, they had Eddie. They had Devin Singletary. Remember, we were checking him out.
I know. I was trying to forget.
He had 90 some yards.
That's what Eddie's saying is we got gashed on the running game, and the Giants are not.
And Cincinnati's going to key on that. They're going to key on our weakness to stop the run. So that means what?
They got Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. Yeah, that's what I said.
Zach Moss, Chase Brown.
Chase Brown is the one I forgot. The other thing I think.
You said DeMar Chase, like DeMar DeRozan.
No,
Jamar.
Yeah. And that's what I was about to bring up.
Sound like you said,
The other thing they're going to key on, Eddie, is the Giants rookie wide receiver Malik Neighbors had, I think, 11 catches for over 100 yards and a touchdown. So their number one guy is Jamar Chase, and he is better than Malik Neighbors. So I think that if I was scouting us, I'd be like, okay, they can't stop our number one receiver. We're going to throw it to Jamar over 20 times this game. That's
so how do we stop that? That's what I guess Dan Quinn and company are trying to figure out. But
I don't think we can. If I'm being honest,
we could get smoked, but I think it's all about the defense. I'll give you my commandment. My commandment's been defense all for the first 3 weeks here. I think. I mean, obviously, we got problems at the backs. I think when we've talked about it already. the way to do, if we can speed Joe Burrows up a little bit, if we can get that pressure on Burrows and without letting him, because he's sneaky, he can sneak away without letting it, so you kind of have to collapse the pocket on him, right? You can't let him sneak away. Bring the pressure, thou shalt bring pressure on Joe Burrows without letting him escape for big plays. Because I think if you can bring some pressure on him, then that helps out your deep backs by making him have to make quick decisions, get rid of
So
the
that
ball
sounds
quickly.
like our first commandment of the night.
That's my commandment for the
Very
night.
nice. Love that.
I guess
Yeah,
I'm
and they're not killing it. They're really not killing it.
They've definitely
He's
had a
average.
struggle
Well,
for his
he's
first half.
Jamar Chase is averaging about 97 yards.
Well, because he's only
that's-
played one game. Oh, that's
He
not
didn't play
true.
in the first game.
Yeah, I
He
think
didn't
he did. I think he did.
Yeah, I think he
He
did.
got his
But-
contract together. I think.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
they
yeah.
got the contract together. He was having trouble. They were having some issues with that, right?
Yeah.
Or was it his
I
injury?
yeah. And you know what? I will say, since his defense looked pretty dang good against the Chiefs, they held them
Yeah.
to 22 points.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
And
good point.
they picked up Patrick Mahomes twice. And that one incredible OBJ interception was insane. So I guess I'll go next.
Sure.
I'm a little nervous about Jaden Daniels versus the Cincy defense. I might even make a crazy statement and say that this might be the best defense he's seen so far. I think Tampa Bay, they're different. Tampa Bay's, I think, is a little bit more unique. And Todd Bowles does a great job of like disguising looks and like moving people around. And I think he's really good at that. But I think Cincy's has more talent on their maybe that's not true. This is a good defense though. I'll say that. So my commandment is thou shalt not turn the ball over. I had let's get a turnover last week. Actually, I had let's get an interception last week. Didn't happen. I'll give us a half a point for a fumble because it was a punch out. But I want to see Jaden Daniels do what he has done so far this season and keep the ball safe. So that's my commandment. I don't want to turn the ball over.
Oh, what you got, Eddie?
I can go next. I think my commandment has to be thou shalt protect Jaden Daniels in the pocket so that he has a chance to throw to Terry and others. I think we've had this understanding that Jaden has the ability to scramble and get out on the side and get out on the edge and do some stuff. I kind of feel like if we're going to know how good he is and how good that arm is, we're going to have to put some points on the board and we're going to have to put them on quick because every time they get the ball, they're going to score. And I think we're going to have to, in order to equal them, we're going to have to do it through an air assault. And we haven't really done that yet. It'll be complemented by a good running game with Robinson and Eckler. And I think those little side outs and all these little screens, those are the things that we're going to do. We're going to do well against any team, especially if they think that we're going to keep going downfield and they start getting tired of like, okay, we got to protect this long game. So I just feel like that's the commandment is protect the quarterback at all times, give him a chance to throw it.
Yep.
Love it. I do want to just, before you go, Tico, I want to go off of something you said there, Eddie, because I think it was a good point. The first two games, Cincinnati's running defense has not looked very good. Ramondre Stevenson's for the Patriots. He had a big game, and Isaiah Pacheco, before he got hurt, had almost 100 yards and a touchdown last game. So if Brian Robinson can do anything close to what he did against the Giants, we need that. We need that big time from B-Rob and from Eck.
Well, and you know what? If we can get a good running game going, that we can do long sustained drives again. We can do that again. We can keep their offense off the field. That might be our best defense.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're looking at Cincinnati, their history. This is a new Cincinnati. This is a new team. Jamar Chase has only had, 10 targets, 2 games. That's not a lot for him. 5 targets against the Chiefs, 35 yards.
Mhm.
My commandment is thou shalt stop Jamar Chase from running wild.
Great
Yeah.
commandment.
There you go.
It's a great commandment. That's a great commandment. All right. Anything else we want to
Okay.
say about the Cincinnati Bengals before we get out of here?
Well, let's throw in our picks. We forgot to do it last week. We did it.
Yeah.
We did it off the air.
Oh, wait, I
I-
say we just take out their kicker. We take out their kicker.
Should we go over
off
what
the first
what
play.
our picks was?
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure we all picked a win.
We all picked a win.
And
So
we
we all
got
Yeah,
the
we
win.
did.
Okay. So I'm 2
Um,
on picks.
Yeah,
And
Brad
everybody
is the
else is
only
1-1.
one who's 2-0. Where the
Wait,
rest of
I
us are.
didn't. Did I pick anyone?
So I don't know if I could give
Yeah, I
if I
think
can
you
give you
picked to
the
lose.
score, Eddie, because you said, what did you say? Something like, it's a typical Eddie comment. Somebody will win the game, I think was your call.
Oh yeah,
That's
so I was
right, that's
predicting
right.
a tie. So
I'm gonna say
50-50.
Eddie's yanking the chain, but I put you down for a W because
okay, yeah,
I felt like that's what was in your heart.
yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know.
in my mind. Actually, on my
I
chart,
let you
actually
go.
on my chart, I'm lone
Yeah.
wolf as a loss on this game, but
Oh,
Okay.
well,
So
Oh,
yeah. So Eddie, you picking a loss?
I'm going to pick a
What do you-
loss. I just feel like we're not really ready just yet to to
Okay.
play a team like this.
Tico?
Hey, I'm going for the upset.
Okay. I like it.
I
Going
like
for the
it.
upset.
I
I
like
like
it too.
Jaden Daniels. I like what I see. Terry's gonna have a breakout game.
Okay.
So I'm the
Nice.
lone wolf.
Love it.
Well, wait, we haven't picked yet. Did you
Oh.
pick Bradley?
No.
Okay. I like what you're saying too, Tico, but I'm not going to follow suit. I think we lose this one.
Oh,
Got it.
okay.
Got it.
I think that we could win this game. I actually think we could upset them. That we're catching them on a low week, or we're catching them at a down part of the season. I could see Terry having a big game. I think they're Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden are going to start hitting a flow here pretty soon. I don't think we're going to beat the Bengals. I'm predicting a loss. I think I could see it happening, but
It's the old
But I-
bait and switch from Bradley.
I think that,
That
we're
was
gonna
that
lose
was
this game.
yeah.
You had me going there. I thought we had.
Like
I-
father,
again,
like son.
Yeah, I could see both things happening. I really could, but I think the Giants
You want to win.
team and we
Right.
we barely beat them.
You see,
So
We
both
all
things
want to win.
happening.
I'd love to be
Yeah.
wrong, you
Isn't
know.
that what
You'd
I
rather
said
be-
in my
you'd rather be
nice
right than
snarky
happy.
comment?
yeah.
Both teams would potentially. One team. would
Yeah, there you
potentially
go.
win.
I almost did. I almost pulled Nettie, but I made it.
Yeah.
I made a decision.
We could have wound up with a tie. We were not far from that. And then knowing these two teams, they might go all through the tiebreaker and not score, and then
Yeah.
it just ends in a tie. And Eddie would have been right.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right,
there we go.
y'all. Thank you for tuning in. That's a wrap for this episode of Command West. We hope you had just as much fun listening as we did bringing you the latest and the greatest on the burgundy and gold. Please leave. You are the fifth commandment. Leave your fifth commandment down in the comment section. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and tune in next week. Go Commanders!
See ya.
See ya.